That's not a spoiler. That's in Lover Unbound. No, I'm serious, babe. No, because it's in Lover Unbound. Do you remember when Vicious, right?
Yeah.
A word comes to him,
word brother.
and it's
I was wondering. Sweet.
okay.
Brother.
That never would have occurred.
Yeah, I do. Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Flow Rider, Round and Round. I love that. I think it's a little poppy, but I still adore it. And I love T.I. I'm totally, I don't, like, what I listen to doesn't look like me. Like, and I roll up in the station wagon, What's up? Seriously. I mean, let's all be friends. We're all friends. Can you get any whiter than me? I mean, I look like some deranged, librarian who should be listening to, like classic, No, I totally is. My husband says he knows when I'm home because he can hear the boom. The windows are going like this. But, I'm sorry. I think a lot of it, though, honestly, is because I run a lot. Yeah. And a lot of the Brotherhood books down low when I'm running, right? And so, that backbeat stuff, it keeps me going, and it kind of, it's like this hypnotic kind of thing, Well, Trez and I Am. Yeah. They're fabulous. And they're also, Trez and I Am, and they're also, actually, Trez is in Covet, which is the new Fallen Angels series that's coming out in October. Yes. Harley's, Leather, Fallen Angels. I'm sorry? Dukes? No, it's Harley's. You gotta go Harley. Come on. I'm sorry, you in the purple in the back? Who's the... John Matthew. Yep. I gotta go there. I mean, John Matthews, the book's name is Lover Mine, and it comes out a year from now. Have you seen how big this is? Do you think I roll over in the morning and lay this like an egg? Seriously. I think that it's going to be a great story, and I don't know how spoiler we want to get about Lover Revenge, because I don't know how many people read it, because it only came out the day before yesterday. Yesterday. But I think that for those of you who have read the book, it is pretty obvious that, John Matthew and Hex have to be next. Yeah. Now, I will say it's going to break my heart to write about him, because on so many different levels, but I feel like we've all seen the world through his eyes for so long, all the way back since Lover Eternal, and it's going to really kill me to write him, because I think that, I'm going to try and bring back the original couples one by one to kind of update people, sort of like the way Raph and Beth were. Did anyone like the desk scene? I love it! It's never made me want to be a vacuum cleaner more in my life. I could just get under there. So he is next, and I really do. It's going to break my heart to write him, but it's time. And Hex is who he ends up with, and the whole deal. And I got to tell you, I'm going to start the book June 1st, and already I get teary-eyed about it, because some parts are going to be killers. Some are going to be killers. I'm sorry. Okay, please, hit me.
Do Butch and Manny have the same father?
Okay, the question is, do Butch and Manny have the same father? And the answer is, I suspect so. I don't really know for sure, because I know some things about Manny. I think it would be logical to assume they did if you think about how Butch's mother was the nurse at the hospital with the snowstorm, and then she slipped and fell. It happens. Rinse and repeat. That was mine right there. It's Manny. So it would seem logical to assume, because if you think Manny's a doctor, And I just think it would seem logical to me. Of course, this means then that Manny is also a relation to Wrath.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be really interesting, and it's pretty obvious who Manny ends up with, you know. So it's, you know, it'll be interesting to see how that. The way the books work for me is I get all these like images and scenes and everything, but they're not chronological. So I don't always know how long it takes to get from, you know, one like. So I don't really know when that's going to happen, but I know that that's where they end up.
The pop culture references that you make in the book, how important are those to some larger theme related?
Pop culture, baby. I mean, seriously. That's like asking, how does Rock of Love apply to Toy Story? There's absolutely nothing. I mean, no, seriously. Like it's like I am a pop culture junkie. You know, I have all 3 seasons of Flavor of Love. I'm like, you know, DVD, and I love that. I love Flav. He's my man. I'm so bummed because he married his baby mama, and now we're out of Flav land. I'm so bummed. But you know, I Love New York is going to work. And it like starts on Sunday. I'm all about that. And I love like Real Housewives of New York City, and I love clothes.
Love has triplets on
I know. But she offed them in the first. She offed them in the first epi. Yeah, they were frightening. But I mean, so it's like, you know, I just love. That's the stuff I'm interested in. Like Caddyshack, as far as I believe, is like the masterpiece of American cinema. And if you want, I can quote Ghostbusters from you. So I just love that stuff, and so it finds the way into the, you know.
Okay, because I just read, I was just reading Fury's book before Love Revenge came out, and I kind of got a reference for the Cruel Intentions, kind of.
Oh,
that
actually, no, that did, yeah, no, I know what you're
that
talking
was
about.
a larger,
Sometimes they do, but, you know, a lot of times it's just...
In comparison to the other brothers, why was, like, Eve's point of view so much more difficult for you to experience?
Because you know him, right? The question is why Vicious was such a pain in the butt, and I just think that, like, you know, it's kind of, this is going to sound completely schizophrenic and bizarre, but whatever, it's the truth. You know, these things are in my head, and there's real to me as like people that I actually know, you know.
And their names are?
They're all sausage makers. You know, so, you know, I just think that sometimes you get along better with others. And, like, you know, see, the thing is, when the Brotherhood got picked up for publication, right, I didn't know that the series was going to fly. I didn't know how many I would get to write. And Zadis was actually supposed to be at the end. Because he, to me, of all the heroes I've ever wrote, he was the one that got to me you know, and I remember thinking very clearly after Dark Lover came out, if I do not get to write this book, it will break my heart like few things will. And so that's the only time I've dictated book order, and I had to do it, you know. And I still think of all the books I've ever written, he's the one for me, you know. Although Revenge comes close. Revenge is like probably the second one, you know. And I think that. You know, Vicious, we just don't get along. I find it grating to be in his point of view. Because what happens is like, I sit down at the computer, right? And I have these scenes in my head and they play, and what I do is I step into like one person's eyes and I do it, or I step into this person's eyes, or I can look around, or I can walk through, and it's very like, and just being in Vicious's point of view, it just grates on me. It's like wearing a hair shirt, and I don't like it, and I don't like him, and he doesn't like me, and there we go. Sorry, and then we're going to move over to the next section.
The scene in the Butch's store, or no, I don't remember which one, where Bee gives Butch his blood in the glass.
Yes.
He gets violently ill. Why doesn't Jane get violently ill when she drinks coke?
You want to know why? It's because she's a female.
Oh,
Number
okay.
one, and number two, she has no vampire blood in her at all.
Oh.
And that's the difference. Because if you remember, when Butch gets inducted into the Brotherhood, he has that racing sensation, that whole thing, and that's just something that happens when, you know, vampire dudes get together and do what vampire dudes do over and over again. Bless their hearts. And so, and so that's the reason why. But I remember thinking that myself. I was like, this is interesting. And then I realized that was probably the explanation. You've already had at me about my husband. So you can